Islam. Yes, sir.
Hold on
We
a second. I
live.
can't. I got. Let me turn the volume up or something. Can you hear me
Okay.
now?
Yeah, I can hear you, brother. Can you hear us?
Okay, I
We're
can.
live.
Oh, wait a minute. That's what's going on. Hold on. Let me get this out better way. I can hear you on it, but I can't. Now?
Yeah, I can hear you, brother. Can
Okay,
you
I can
hear
hear
us?
you. I can hear you as well.
Okay, we're live right now. Okay.
Okay,
So
you want me to go?
go ahead, brother.
Yes, sir. You want me to go ahead with the prayer?
Well, yeah, the Grand Secretary of State has set up, but yeah, you can come forth and give it to us. Islam.
Islam, gratitude, family.
All right,
Yes,
Islam.
Islam. Yes, this is Dr. Marvin Edwards B. Consul General of the Texas Consulate, rising, giving all praise to the great God Allah, giving highest honors to his prophet, our prophet, Noble Drew Ali, Al-Haj Sharif Abdul Ali. Give high honors to our theocratic government, our Moorish American government. Give high honors to our Act One. I give high honors to all of our officials. Give honors to this class, our ears class, as well as I give honors to everyone that's on the panel and everyone that's in the audience. Um, and I'll begin with our Egyptian Adeptus Morris American prayer. Ya Allah abnuheru meku neturu. Ya Allah abheru. Ya Allah ma'at haru. Ya Allah hotep haru. Ya Allah heru. Ya Allah ma'at herkuti. Ya Allah awahjet dejuti. Ya Allah pratim sutek. Pratim haru. Ya Allah bamaduti. Al hedis ray up to Ali. Amen. Alias. 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 In transliteration, O Allah, the Father of the universe, O Allah, the Father of love, O Allah, the Spirit of truth, O Allah, the Spirit of peace, O Allah, the Spirit of freedom, O Allah, the Spirit of justice, O Allah, you are my protector, O Allah, you are my guide, O Allah, you are my salvation by night and by day, O Allah, through your holy prophet, O Allah, Drew Ali. Amen. Holy Issa, Holy Issa, Holy Issa. And now we can begin with the Morris American Divine Constitution. I begin. The Grand Sheik, Act 1. Well, first of all, salvation, our God, unity. The Divine Constitution of Morris America, Act 1. The Grand Sheik and the Chairman of Morris America are in power to make law and enforce laws with the assistance of the Prophet and the Grand Body of Morris America. The Assistant Grand Sheik is to assist the Grand Sheik in all affairs, if he lives according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and it is known before the citizens of Morris America. The bylaws, Act 2. All meetings are to be opened and closed promptly, according to the Circle 7, and love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Friday is our holy day of rest, because on a Friday the first man was formed in flesh, and on a Friday the first man departed out of flesh and ascended unto his Father God Allah. For that cause, Friday is the holy day for all Muslims all over the world. Act 3. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice must be proclaimed and practiced by all citizens of Moorish America. No citizen is to put in danger or accuse falsely his brother or sister on any occasion at all that may harm his brother or sister, because Allah is love. Pardon yourself. Okay. Act 4. All citizens must preserve these holy and divine laws, and all citizens must obey the laws of the government, because by being a Moorish American, you are a part and a parcel of the government and must live the life accordingly. Act 5. No organization of Moorish America is to cause any confusion or to overthrow the laws and constitution of the said government, but to obey hereby. Act 6. With us, all citizens must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are a part and a parcel of this said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slave holders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era in time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Drew Ali, the prophet, to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites, whom inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7. All citizens must promptly attend their meetings and become a part and a parcel of all uplifting acts of Moorish America. Moorish Americans must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of Moorish America. And then you are entitled to the name of faithful husband. You must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become a part of the uplifting of fallen humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet Noble Drew Ali through the guidance of his father God Allah. Prophet Noble Drew Ali, peace and blessings be upon him, founding father and framer of the divine constitution and bylaws of Moorish America. Islam, 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 gratitude. And I'll pass it on to our next official to read the chapter of the week. Islam.
Islam, Islam, Islam. I am Dr. Dendra Nia Kurta Bay. First, let me rise and give praises to our great God Allah. I give honors to our holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali. I give honors to Act 1. I give honors to all my government officials. I give honors to our national sister grand sheik. And I give honors to you, Dr. Marvin Evans Bay, for giving us our prayer and reading our Constitution. I will be reading chapter 33, coming from our Holy Quran family. And it reads, The Adept Chamber of the Dead, the Mysteries of Egypt. The senior course of study now was opened up, and Yehoshua entered and became a pupil of the Hierophant. He learned of Egypt land, the mysteries of the life and death of the world beyond the circle of the sun. When he had finished all the studies of the senior course, he went into the chamber of the dead that he might learn the ancient methods of preserving from decay the bodies of the dead, and here he worked. And carriers brought the body of a widower's son to be embalmed. The weeping mother followed close. Her grief was great. And Yehoshua said, Good woman, dry your tears. You follow but an empty house. Your son is in it not. You weep because your son is dead. Death is not a cruel word. Your son can never die. He had a task assigned to do in garb of flesh. He came, he did his work, and then he laid the flesh aside. He did not need it more. Beyond the human sight, he has another work to do, and he will do it well, and then pass to other tasks. And by he will attain the crown of perfect life. And what your son has done, and what he yet must do, we all must do. Now, if you harbor grief and give your sorrow vent, they will grow greater every day. They will absorb your very life until at last you will be naught but grief wet down with bitter tears. Instead of helping him, you grieve your son by your deep grief. He seeks your solace now as he has ever done, is glad when you are glad, is saddened when you grieve. Go bury your woes and smile at grief and lose yourself in helping others dry their tears. With duty done comes happiness and joy, and gladness cheers the heart of those who have passed on. The weeping woman turned and went her way to find happiness in helpfulness, to bury deep her sorrow in a ministry of joy. Then other carriers came and brought the body of a mother to the chamber of the dead. and just one Mona followed. She, a girl of tender years. And as the cottage neared the door, the child observed a wounded bird in sore distress. A cruel hunter's dart had pierced its breast, and she left following the dead and went to help the living bird. With tenderness and love, she folded to her breast the wounded bird, then hurried to her place. And Yehoshua said to her, "Why did you leave your dead to save a wounded bird?" The maiden said, "This lifeless body needs no help from me. My mother taught me this. My mother taught that grief and selfless love and hopes and fears are but reflexes from the lower self. That what we sense is but small waves upon the rolling billows of a life. These all will pass away. They are unreal. Tears flow from hearts of flesh. The spirit never weeps, and I am longing for the day when I can walk in the light where tears are wiped away. My mother taught that all emotions are sprays that rise from human love and hope and fears. That perfect bliss cannot be ours till we have conquered these. And in the presence of that child did Yehoshua bow his head in reverence. He said, "For days and months and years I have sought to learn this highest truth that man can learn on earth. And here a child, fresh brought to earth, has told it all in one short breath." No wonder David said, "O Allah, our Lord, how excellent is thy name in all the earth. Out of the mouth of babes and sucklings has thou ordained strength." And then he laid his hand upon the maiden's head and said, "I am sure the blessings of my Father Allah will rest upon you, child, forever." Islam, Islam, Islam. I will now turn it back over to our host, our National Assistant Grand Sheikh, Dr. Sadu Amiti El Muhammad Sepsuel. Islam.
All right. Islamism. Gratitude, family. Let us rise upon the seven and give all praises to the great God, Allah, our Father God, Allah, and honors to his holy prophet, honors to our holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, El Hajj Sharif Abdul Ali, that is. We give honors to our Moorish kin, once again, here, there, and everywhere, and therefore honors to all of you who are continuously honoring yourselves by being yourselves. We give honors to our Grand National Seal. We give honors to our Grand National Emblem, National Flag, Divine Constitution and bylaws, and honors to all of you who are indeed a living manifestation and personification of everything that our holy prophet brought to make us a nation. Want to welcome our Moorish kin once again to another grand drawing in relation to dealing with our Egyptian Adeptus Research Sultanate. And I'm your host instructor, Dr. Shahid Imani Al-Mohadi Shabazz, and my ancient Median high name being the same as Dr. Shedawa Minti El Muhajjid Shepsuel. And definitely have a powerful drawing to bring to the manifest Moorish kin on this grand day here. We look forward to hearing from all of our Moorish kin and everything it is that you have to offer. A very powerful measure. We look forward to seeing what it is our Moorish kin have to bring forth. And we just say gratitude. It's going to be some grand homework. But before we move forward, I would like to bring forth a drawing, and this is a brief measure here, something that has been recently discovered by myself, though it's been there all the while. And I just had put something out on it recently in my page, and this is very noteworthy. Let me share my screen here. Just give me 1 second, Morris Ken. So we want to make sure that our family is able to get this drawing here. And welcome to all too, by the way. Okay. All right now. We'll do it like this here. Oh, we had a lot of master words that we brought on the manifest. I want to see, can I pull them up as well while we at it? Okay. All right. Here we go. Right here. I'm gonna open this right here up first. Okay. Present. Share the screen. See how fluid we are today. Sometimes it start off good and wrong, get to slowing it down. We are not having that demonstration today. Okay. Can you see my screen, Morris Ken?
Yes, sir.
All right. Gratitude, Islam. So yeah, there's a drawing in relation to dealing with what they like to try to call the ghost DNA. And so upon investigation, I was doing a little research and came across what is referred to as the Homo Mauritanicus Atlanthropus, basically. And they call him the antecessor. And this is in reference to explorer, pioneer, and early settler. And this is basically believed to be the first human being to leave Africa. And they dated this one around the time of going back to, well, in this particular drawing, they actually go into different levels, of these special ones, but they mention, 1.2 million years ago, right? And this is the depiction they give, not an ape, but an actual person, which most definitely have some figures that look like ours. We can see the Asiatic relation to the demonstration as well. But there is another one that also speaks of 700,000 years ago, which is a little more recent. And I actually had done a post on that one prior to, because it made me want to look further. But if you look into the names that's being used here, you always hear about the Gibraltar man, all of the Kennewick man and Lucy and all this here. But to actually see, the Atlanthropus, Mauritanicus Atlanthropus, that's a powerful demonstration, because I seen automatically Mauritania and Atlantis, so to see one being referred to by these names and still in the same area, though a little bit further up, which would make sense, because if they migrated, looking at the map, right, we normally see this area here where the Richat structure is. They migrated from the Nile Valley civilization across North Africa. Then it would make sense, for if they found older fossils here, because when you get over here into this area and they say, well, our most common ancestral expression of the one that is called the Ibero-Maurusian that we have been talking about, found in Mauritania, the migration pattern can actually be seen to a certain degree and certain extent. And it doesn't surprise me, because we talk about the Iberic Egyptian language, the relation to the Atlantean tongue, and the same tongue that actually became known as the Egyptian, or the the Kemetic tongue, so to speak. And we can see the pattern of the migration coming out, as we say, of Canaan, where they went over into this land, set up the civilization, and then after the submergence, so to speak, of the actual city, Tahuti being the last one left, he had the language and everything else. He then took that language over to Kemet, and Kemet was the next thing to be built, after this special time. So there's a lot of grand history there that gives us a powerful measure, in relation to dealing with, the Atlanthropus. That's the best way to say it, Atlanthropus. Atlanthropus. Most likely they would say it like that. Mauritanicus Atlanthropus. And so this is a powerful demonstration, more as again showing whether you want to look at it with the most closest of what they would call Homo sapien, 350,000 years old, or you go all the way back, 700,000 out to 1.2 million years ago. Man, that's just powerful confirmation right there. I mean, how can you get around that? So we see from the aspects of dealing with archaeology and looking at the proofs, that goes straight back to the Moorish gods, Atlantis. And then when you think about what they like to call ghost DNA, the reason why they want to call it ghost DNA, because they don't want to admit that this is our people. If you really want to go into it, and also at another level, if you want to say ghost DNA, we were looking up the original word Lemuria at one time, and we find that word actually meant ghosts, which is synonymous with what they call spirit. They talk about the Holy Ghost all the time. So we can see even the Lemurian connection. So what they are calling ghost DNA is really the DNA of the gods, and basically everybody can't have that. I like to call it divine nature of Allah, divine nature of the Almighty, whichever way you want to look at it. But that's a powerful demonstration, family. So we have truly uncovered something here, not only dealing with placing the Moors on the manifest again, as the Ancient of Days, Atik Yamin, as the Piscean record would call it, but we have also, again, proven a connection, that also shows evidence of the language and where it comes from. Because if we can trace the language back etymologically, then we can also trace historically to a particular source, because you can't have a language without a people, and you can't have a people without a language. So that's a powerful demonstration. And I just wanted to bring that forth. And before we get our family to bring their homework on the manifest, now that we've demonstrated that particular drawing right there, and we hope our Moorish can do even more research on this. We want to ask what our Moorish kin opinion is, because this type of stuff here fire up the neurons and get us going here. Islam, brother Asim Majeti, we give honors to you, family, and our brother Rayshawn Irvin. Islam. So Islam Moorish kin to my panel. What do you think, Islam Grand Secretary of the State? What have you to say about this discovery?
I'm just saying, praise Allah. All right. And grand measure for you being able to pick up on that blessing. Because as you stated, the key that you brought forth was in efforts to going back through etymology, showing evidence of the language that automatically is going to assist in the history of a people, and the history and the people itself. So that's a grand blessing when it's still in the same northwestern location, a little bit further to the east, but still we can see the connection even in the name Homo Mauritanicus Atlanthropus. As you stated, you can see Mauritania, you can see Atlantis, and when you gave that added key that Lemuria, they had termed as ghosts, which in essence is spirit, then that also is the hookup dealing with Atlantis and Lemuria. So the ghost DNA, before you gave that additional history of the word Lemuria, ghost DNA, I was just thinking they just pick some random word to try to not specify that there's a connection between that discovery and ourselves. But now, in looking at the reference, and definitely I'm going to do the research of ghosts to Lemuria, that makes sense where it's coming from, the spirit of the gods, because even in our research of the words coming out of Kemet, they had a lot of words dealing with divinity and giving honor to the attributes of the creator. So this is a grand degree. I'm very, very charged up with this. Gratitude, peace and love.
In Islam, hold up. There we go. Islam. And gratitude to you, Grand National Secretary of the State, for that drawing. And what this does is basically we continue to tap into the divinity, and it's bringing more truth out. And this is why this is a prime example on why one never becomes content with what we think we know. Because if we do, then we say, all right, I got it. And then next thing you know, little things like this will pass us up, and that's why I always say the more I know, the more I grow. The more we know, the more we grow. In the light of that, and we emphasize this because we got a whole drawing where we actually run down the history, and we showed this to our Moorish kin on numerous occasions. A lot of this information here, and this is actually in one of the presentations. I never really went into the fullness of this particular presentation with all of our Moorish kin. I set it out, some of it on Sultanate's TV at one time, and I was basically showing the connection to everything and trying to make it plain as possible. And in this particular drawing, I went through all the the name, the time, and then I was showing how they represent certain things scientifically. Like I touched on Zep Tepi the first time, and Planck time, basically that deals with the concept of the Planck epic. That's as far as back as the European can go. But Zep Tepi has to do with actually before time ever manifested. So I went through all of this information, the grand epic, the universe, and what they like to call the Big Bang. And you'll see right here, I follow it up, going into the omnipresence of God in the form of the God particle and giving the expression of that right there as well. And showed them how man tried to reduplicate it, went into the science of dark energy, dark matter, and dark gravity, and then took it into Kemet, new net, and all this here. All of this was necessary, though, to bring one up to pace with understanding, Amen, who was known as the hidden one that became manifest, Amen Ra. Who he was said to most definitely be there from the very conception outside of manifesting as a man. And then I went into the history. Y'all heard me talk about Let There Be Light, which is my Ore or Mar, Meor, this is special drawing. And then I went recently, and I mentioned this all the time, about the luminary right there in the Piscean record. Just as you have what we have, and this is dealing with a strong tie here, just dealing with the word Mar, because you have Maur And we know the O is interchangeable with the letter U. So we have the same thing here in what they call the Hebrew, and we find it means a luminary. So when he said, let there be light, a luminary was manifested in this particular time period, when the light was manifested. When he said, let there be light, ore, maore, a luminous body, luminary, this is a powerful demonstration. So we understand this. We understand we were there with the Creator from the beginning. See, it says light bearer, luminary, lamp. It goes into all those different expressions. And there are many other words that express this drawing. But the interesting part, dealing with this word, maor, mar, right? As I kept going through it, looking it up, they showed the different areas where they use this expression at. I was able to see another measure here in relation to dealing with the word, because this is dealing with the language too as we go through this, as a celestial body, a star, lightning, brightness, glow, so this is also dealing with more. And so I trace it up to the word lemorat, and this is in Hebrew, lemorat, in relation to dealing with lights, in the expanse of the heavens. Now look at the sound shifting though too. This is very important. You can see the sound shifting in the word, and what you see at the root is aura. This is what also connects to the word nur, as we demonstrated in our last class. Now notice how it says hamora, hamerat, lamor, right? Lamora, right? Limurat, ma'ur, ma'ore, me'orat. So no matter how you look at it, and this is dealing with the lights that were placed in the firmament of the heavens. We're talking about celestials. We're talking about luminaries. Not just a sun or a moon, but the spirits of the sun and the moon. And so this goes back to the Neteru in ancient Kemet, And so the powerful drawing behind all of this, as I continue to go on, and I was able to find a lot of information in reference to dealing with the root races. That's actually dealing with the time of the Yuga cycles. The sub races and the root races. And that was actually dealing with, like I said, the keeping of the time. And I want to get to this portion here and show it to you real quick. Because see, everything that we say, we are able to demonstrate it and show it to our people. That go back to even the time there, tens and millions and hundreds of years our ancestors was keeping it. So if the Moors remember, when I gave the history here on ancient Kemet and the Neteru, I showed how they correspond with the actions that took place in Genesis. Like I was demonstrating a few minutes ago, Noon and Noonet, the primeval waters, with the artistry that you just seen a few minutes ago, space, infinity, formless, who and who had, Kook and Kuket, primordial darkness, like went through all that right there and showed the creation and spirit man being on the manifest from the very first day. And then I put the Kemetic drawings in there as they would correspond with the days of creation in Genesis. So you see it just as one would come in to manifest Kemetically. And we find out that day 7 actually has to do with reference to the first day. And in day 7, this is the time of the angel and cherubim being on the manifest. Amen. As we spoke of, the hidden one that become manifest, which is a representation of flesh divine, the first psychophysical man, aka Mar. You see also the high priest of Anu, the ether being, Alsa and Alset, which correspond with Ish and Isha, spirit man and spirit woman, so in all actuality, what took place on day 7 really took place in day 1. You see? Because when you talk about the Elohim, you talk about Shu, holy breath. You talk about the husbandman, the mother of virtues, and so forth and so on. You're talking about the spiritual expression of all saw and all set that becomes physical later. But nevertheless, the Mar or the light beings are present. You see? And so this is a powerful demonstration in and of itself. I just wanted to run that down briefly in connection so you see, the concept of the light being and see the concept of the celestials and the Neteru and how they connect to exactly what we speak of, And so this is some powerful demonstrations, family. And it's another measure here that I want to show to our family. Because like I said, I ain't trying to tarry too long. We already know about this demonstration here. Okay, I want to get down here to the actual definitions of the words when I actually come across those words. It ain't strange either when I went into the word Neteru and I was able to hook it up, to amorphous evolutionary DNA nanotechnology. That was the acronym that was broke down out of me researching the word Eden, which is the Garden of Eden, and then connecting this to Adonai, and looking at the divine Neter, Autum, Netus Atom, the divine nature of all working through us, family. Okay. So here we go, right? I got so much in here in this PDF. This PDF right here can actually become a book. But here it is. What it was, I touched on this a little bit with the family. Now that we know we're talking about light beings, celestials, Neteru, Elohim, now we understand that we're talking about light. That's what angels represent. They bring light. They are light, and it says, what are the role of ancestral spirits? Ancestral spirits were often contacted in dreams. Now, they talking about the ghost DNA. So automatically that ties ghost DNA with being ancestral spirits, right? They can be contacted in dreams. You hear us talking about the prophet working from the plane of soul. He's an ancestral spirit. NDA can be rearranged as DNA as well. Noble Drew Ali. Prophet Noble Drew Ali was also seen as the reincarnation of Amun Ra, which is Mar, as we said earlier, right? So again, it says ancestral spirits were often contacted in dreams and in traces of spirit mediums. In other words, being able to tap into the Akashic records in plain language or layman's language, as we understand it, be able to read the book of Allah's registry of remembrance, or open it up. It says, as were the high gods and non-human spirits, they would give people information about the causes of diseases, deaths, and other misfortunes, and would sometimes prescribe new medicines. This is what ancestral spirits are able to do. So this is how we was able to receive a flag, seal, and emblem and everything. Just as information is given in these areas, information is also given to guide one when it comes to building nations. So here it is right here. The word lemur. For a long time, they wanted you to believe this was a monkey from Madagascar. But we found out doing a lot of deep research. Now we have read and understood what ancestor spirits do. I had to dig deep to find this. It says the word lemur, which is the root word for Lemuria, actually means ghost and not a monkey. So when we talk about that ghost DNA, that's definitely the connection. It says, while the Roman translation Lemuri refers to ancestor spirit, just like we said, ghost and spirit is the same thing. So it was thought It says that on the set date of each year, ancestor spirits rose from their resting places to attend the festival of Lemuria, or the festival of the ghost world. And the term Lemuria literally means ghost world as well. In other words, ancestral spirit, realm. They had the ability to cross the boundaries, at will. Though they were of pure spirit, being what we call Netzeru Elohim, the cherubim, seraphim type degree, they had the ability to take on form, however and whenever they like. You see? So when we get to talking about, the Lemurian and the ghost DNA, you're talking about God DNA. You see, and this is the way that a lot of time when Rome go to giving their definition, they can only give so much because they don't know the spirit, and the ancestral spirits as we do. They don't know the Netzeru, and the Elohim, are the gods as we do. You see, all they can do is look at them in awe and bow down. You see, and that's what they're supposed to do. But the term Lemuria literally means ghost world, according to a legend. A beautiful continent known as Lemuria or Mu once thrived in similar time frame to Atlantis. The two historically overlap briefly between 30,000 and 25,000 years. And this is getting before the wars and all that stuff, because I actually have information in here too that talk about these different conflicts that had took place, and there were different eras in time. So if you look at this in the light of the history, we talk about the Mauritanicus, Anthropus, Atlanthropus, pardon self. When we go into this special drawing, we understand now, looking at the time frame, this sound about right. The key is just putting all this information in the proper order chronologically in order for one to be able to get a grasp of it. And this is another definition, because I'm telling you, it was hard to find this because they was always trying to direct this to being some little monkeys on Madagascar, and we was able to find, again, another definition, Lumaris, which is a general name for departed spirits of men. According to the religious belief of the Roman, the soul was converted after death into the spirit, and either beneficent or malign, as the actions of the individual had been good or bad during his lifetime. The good spirit then became a protecting angel. See, this is what we talk about when we talk about the prophet working from the plane of soul, and was properly termed law. And then they had the evil one, or a specter called hobgoblin, or signated larva. So they had one that was basically either called a good spirit or one called an evil spirit in the way they demonstrated. But the main measure dealing with Lamar is just dealing with the departure of the spirits of men. They had all the other extra stuff on it dealing with the duality. But it says, but although some passages plainly imply that the term Lemars meant departed spirits generally, without reference to any particular disposition. And that's the proper way to look at it. You see, because ain't no evil God. The great God always been good. So he wouldn't have a disposition, between the good and evil. He is the good. In fact, in the Grand Quran, it say Allah create good and we make evil. Whatever evil it is come to us from ourselves. So it says, yet a number of the others lead to the conclusion in the popular belief in the language and the common people, they were confounded with the larva. That means those who still want to go on, with evil and all that old foolishness. And we know evil is not a requisite to man. We know that really there's no disposition for spirit, just like there's no gender in all actuality. You're talking about a genderless essence when you talk about the Most High, when you talk about even Ish and Isha. So it was speaking here in another source, that I come across, and they was talking about the principle of activity in inanimate and animate objects was for Theophrastus, something personal and spiritual. Archaeus, astrum, spiritus. It says an emanation from the deity. Remember we say, let there be light? That's emanation from the supreme being. That's the light being. It says, and each element had, as we have seen, its own active and living agent. That means everything carries a spirit. The ethers of a plane carries a spirit. It said, thus in the air he found the lemures, the spirits of air. You see, in the earth, gnomes and pygmies, they actually use the term sabazius as well. You see, in the water, the nymphs or the water spirits, the fire, the salamander, and that ain't strange because we always know when we hear about a serpent or a lizard, you know, without legs or something, it's dealing with some reptilian and so forth and so on. But nevertheless, all of these particular measures have spirits that drive them. You see? And if you understand dealing with, again, air, which is synonymous with breath or the ethers, you know, you're talking about etheric beings. You see, Lemures, the spirits of the air. And that's why this connects again back to Kemet, because I just showed you how you deal with the creation story and it relates to the 7 days of creation. And that too had the birthing expression of dealing with the elements. The elements are synonymous also with the mystery of the Sphinx, because it's really just showing that everything outside of man exists within man. Man is the master of everything in creation. That's why the head of man is on the animal, but the head of man really represents the spiritual side, being able to tame or govern everything that is material, animalistic, so to speak. You know, that lion that's a part of the body. You know, some sphinx have wings there, showing a cherubic, what we call, you know, an angelic quality. You know, and all of these different expressions are symbolic to, you know, what we call the elements. So man becomes a master of the elements, you know, by how he stays in his spirit state. So that spirit drawing, again, has to do with what we can see, drawing from the ancestors, you know, drawing power from divinity, and lemur, light beings, celestial beings. So it says ghost, specter, on account, because I went to once I found the niche, you know, I go to digging for real then. You know, and this also shows lemurs, which ghosts, a specter. It says on account of their habit of going abroad by night, one family of nocturnal mammals allied to the monkeys. See, that's what I was talking about right there that they was trying to talk about. You know, small, having a sharp fox-like muzzle. They are natives of Madagascar. You know, that's what they wanted you to believe. But then, and see, they mixing truth and falsehood here. So it says Lemures, Latin, which means spirits or ghosts of the departed specters. Again, so no one has ever emphasized this particular definition here. They want you to believe that Lemurian culture has to do with monkeys from Madagascar, and then they say, "Oh, that ain't nothing but a myth, y'all. You know, that's some fairy tale made up stuff. Try to make you look like you crazy." You see, but there's a history that's given, and we have it here. When it said here, it says, long before the destruction of Atlantis, however, a new race of men has sprung up around the southern shores of the Central Asian Sea, and these are the Aryans. It's the our type, and the original Aryans, before they came up with Aryan Nation and all this other stuff, always represented us. Even the swastika we know come from us. That's really the Big Dipper and the Little Dipper. You know, the scimitar just is taking its course in the heavens, you know, in its original state. But it goes to showing how, you know, these different races came up out of us. You see, from your Hindu, your Arab, your Persian, your Greeks, your Romans, all of them come from us at the end of the day. We didn't come from them. So it says, thus in Lemuria, Atlantis, and Asia arose three races. It says, whose descendants people the earth today. Notice they use Lemuria, Atlantis, and Asia. And notice that when we say Asiatic, Asiatic represent the earth mound. Lemurian, Atlantis, in these times, everything was one. You know, when there was what you call Eurasia or Laurasia is the way that, you know, one said. I like to call it Marasia. You know, so all of that as well has drawings that are demonstrated. They even talk about the destiny of the race and all of that. We'll go into this one day. I don't want to go all the way into everything now. I just want to point out exactly who the Lemurians and the Atlanteans were in relation to how we get this language and this culture. Now, if you notice, they give all of them in order. And Lemuria is first in the root races and sub races. You done heard stories when you hear the talk of root races and sub races, but this is actually the chart that show who they are. So Lemuria came first, you see, and what they did, they couldn't even go all the way back beyond here. So you see that 3, 2, and 1, you know, they ain't mentioning here. Now there's a breakdown on this right here in this particular measure that goes into as to why that is the case. But what we do find out right here is that the Lemurians were being referred to as Negro, Negrito, or Negrillo. Now we know during this time, because this is an old book from the 1930s, we know that basically the European, you know, always tried to classify people as that. The only key that we really drawing off of is the fact that the Lemurian, basically they are saying that this was our people, which again brings it out of the context of just being spirit, but at some time manifesting physically. Just like the Adam Codman degree. You had Adam Codman, you know, in the celestial there, right there with the Netaru, and then you had the Cadmonites who became his descendants. So it's the same thing with the Mari, the light beings who become the Lemurians, you know, that also cross the borderland at will and come into the manifest, the gods that walk the earth. See, this is the ghost DNA. They want to call it ghost DNA because they don't want you to know who they really talking about. See, they don't want you to know it's us. And so when you get deep into that history, now you see the 1, 2, and the 3. You know, the 3 ties into the Lemurian, but those other stages up here, you know, dealing with what they call, you know, the imperishable sacred land, the continent of Hyperborea. The Hyperborean has to do with a connection between the Atlantean, Asiatic, and Lemurian. We got a map on that. You know, and then it just goes on down into the Atlantean and your Aryans and the Meruvians, and then what they call the Paradisians, and so forth and so on. You see? So this is a powerful demonstration. We got all this history over here, family. Like I say, we've been wanting to give it out, but it's been a minute. We done went through so much stuff, and it's important that ones have this knowledge, family. You know, because once we have all of this information, now reflect upon the book of Ali and the history that the chairman has given us. We can see exactly what it is that he has given us. You see, we can see exactly what it is that the prophet has given us. And this is also coming from the particular book that I found these figures in, and we'll pull them up in a little bit. But it says, even in the days of Lemuria, men peopled the earth. See? And the Lemurian people were of our first type. And in this particular text, they say the pure Negroes. We know they talking about us, the original people. We ain't no Negro, but that's the only word that they could use for a lack of the words that they had the courage enough to use. So it says, and other woolly-haired races today are remnants of the ancient Lemurians with little change of type, meaning our phenotype hadn't really changed much, except at the what they call the diminution of stature. In other words, getting smaller. You see what I'm saying? That's the only thing that changed. Prior to that, they saying that we was basically in the realm of having some gigantic stature, so to speak, which we see in ancient Kemet. The connection to that. We read about these things, but here you have it right here, is telling you who the Lemurians are. It ain't no Europeans, and the Atlanteans as well, because they ran hand in hand. So when you see the Mauritanicus, Atlanthropus, it all makes sense now, because they are the only ones that could have been that ancient. It makes sense when you talk about 2.2 million years old. The chairman gives similar references to the time when he talk about Ish and Ish in the Garden of Eden. You see, the same expression of the history. This is what we call confirmation. You see, and then they even broke down, the city of Atlantis, and you see they put a lot of the Neteru there. This is basically, what they call the Edfu schema, an expression of what the Edfu teaching spoke of. It's the same thing that was found on the Rakat structure, and this brings us right back to what we were saying about the language and Tehuti bringing the language. It says creation stories in the pyramid texts speak of what they call Iyun Nesarir, the island of flame, as the original land. It says the mythical place, which they like to use. It says where the gods born. It says beyond the limits of the created world, right? Such myths place Tat or Tehuti, and there's nothing wrong with hearing the word myth or mythos, because myth and mythos actually is something that's based off of a reality. Just like the 5 books, Leviticus, Exodus, Genesis, Numbers, Deuteronomy. If you eliminate all the letters dealing with the language, you get the word legend. A legend of what? The same stuff that we talking about right now. So it says, as well as his birthplace in the West at the very beginning of the Egyptian traditions, one can't help but recall the similar origin and myths of Atlantean tribe of North Africa. Oh, man. Now, you see all this. Is this what you call, and all these different sources, this is just me putting together things that have been scattered abroad to bring the truth to the manifest. We can't make this stuff up, family. You see, and then it goes into the various different times. A lot of people don't know there were many cataclysmic events that took place. Many different floods and so forth and so on. That's why people got it so confused and don't know no better. You see, there were more than one event that took place, during the time of the Atlanteans. You got your Sumerian issues that came forth, Babylonian. These are all different flood times. You see, that have been recorded now throughout the world. Everybody talk about them, but somewhat there has been a reason that everybody say the same thing. You see, now these things may not have occurred the way they try to give it in the biblical narrative, but they are cataclysmic events that took place, fam. The prophet referred to it as, the great earthquake, that caused, these cataclysmic events to bring about, the continents you see today. You see, continental drift, as we like to call it, right? So yeah, it speaks here and it gives us confirmation of these different periods. The first Atlantean period, now this is after the time of Lemuria now, but even after in their first period, it's 432,000 BCE. This is getting into the time that's given according to the Kali Yuga cycles of India. They often talk about this. This goes back to what I was showing you in Zep Tepe, millions and millions of years. You see, you can get into all this type of time frame and see these things chronologically if you put them in order. So in this period, from this period, we had the primeval age of the gods, the incarnation of the highly evolved spiritual beings in human form on Atlantis. You see, So one had not fully fell into the lowest of the low, even when we get to the Atlantean time, because even then you were still dealing with those spiritual beings, those God beings. Now this is after Lemuria. So if you were dealing with the God being at this time, or the celestial, or the luminaries at this time, how powerful one had to be in the ancient time. And it's still dealing with our people now. So it went into the city of the Golden Gates, and it goes into all their history there, and then it goes into the second period, which was a little closer to us, 35,335 BCE. And this goes into the other aspects of things that occurred, and the cataclysmic events, and it come all the way up here until it gets down into this era in time and what we are closer to us. The other events that took place here. You even mentioned, Egypt, Sumer, and Mesoamerica coming on the manifest around this time. And this is basically around the time when you see them speaking of Kemet, and everything in most historical documents that rise up, So it talks about the departure of the gods in the sacred center of what they call Manavantara, becoming concealed at the beginning of the Kali Yuga cycle of this era. So this is a powerful demonstration, Moors. When you go into this history and you understand what it is that you're looking at, it's easier then now to see how the language evolved. It's easier then now to see your DNA, where you come from, your divine nature. You see? And so it's just a powerful draw. And I just wanted to bring that on the manifest, in relation to really making it clear about Lemuria and Atlantis. These are not mythical places. Atlantis has been found. Lemuria is now being seen in the history of the record of the Piscean records. Lemurat, we showed you that in the Hebrew. And we show you that this is dealing with ancestral spirits, light beings, luminaries that are able to cross the borderland at will. The return of the ancient one, the gods. That's who we are. So I just wanted to say that right there, briefly, and run that down so that we know exactly who we are. So when you hear about the Demari or the Moorish gods, oh man, it don't get no plain than that. We more God than we are mere men and women. So is there one who would like to make a statement?
Islam.
Islam. We know our sister Curta Bay fired up because she touched that dial quick.
His love, God, man. I tell you just blowing me away over here. I'm sitting here looking at all this and looking at all this information. And like you say, man, this is powerful, family. This is so powerful. And what I realized too is just like you teaching us to take these alphabets and the words and stuff, how we are vetting the words. You took this information and did the same thing that you teaching us how to do with the alphabets and stuff. And like you say, it you can clearly see where basically what it shows me, Dr. Shaheed, what I thought about is chapter 1 in our Holy Quran. We are seeing clearly how we fail, and you just showed us how even with the Atlantis and Lemuria, and man, everything is bubbling up in me. And I know I'm kind of rambling, but even our prophet in the book of Ali, he talks about all this, about Lemuria and stuff, and going back to when you had that head, the skull, and you showing us where these discoveries, the one which you was talking about, happened millions and millions of years, when you first showed that skull. Oh, I love looking at that picture and seeing the discoveries, because I like to look at that brain, that skull, and the part of that skull where they discover stuff at. Man, that just blows. I just get so excited when I see this, and this is so much powerful information. And to see how, like you say, our prophet is bringing all of this information to us. And trust me, even while I was visiting family stuff, these young people, the generation, these young generations that's coming forth, Dr. Shahid, I'm telling you, they are not like we would. Well, let me say, they're not like me when I was coming up. You just to accept what somebody's saying, and you got documentations that they are not being programmed. They are not accepting. They are doing their research themselves, and they are anxious. They're asking questions, and I tell you that these young people, this generation that's coming out, just coming up now, they are getting into this information that you are bringing forth, and they are doing their research and asking questions and stuff. It's just so powerful to be a part. For me to be a part of what the great God Allah is doing, I still be pinching myself. Is this real that I'm a part of this this great movement that he got going on? I tell you, this is documentation, like we always say, beat conversation. And everything that you have said this morning, I tell you, I'm excited. Islam, gratitude.
Islam and gratitude, goddess and queen. We definitely give you honors for that special drawing. And it's only right that since we went there, it's only right that we go here now before we move ahead, because we got plenty of time, for now to I'm moving as the spirit dictate me right now. I didn't intend to go here, but it's meant for me to go here, so to speak. Because we showing through language and etymology, we can trace ourselves back. This is the best way to understand, archaeology and anthropology and all of that. You see what I'm saying? And so we want to go to this commentary here in the Book of Fire. Now that we have actually given the history, and we want to show you what our chairman said. Listen to this. And this is so that our family who haven't had the opportunity to come into the Book of Fire, to get the drawing. Now that you heard and seen the research that I was able to find based upon what it is, that was brought forth in the Book of Fire, based upon Prophet Noble Drew Ali's teachings, we're going to show you what our chairman had brought forth in his research. This is what he stated. Now, put this in mind with everything that I just showed you. He said, most histories are current stories being told of a conqueror's plight and past subjugations. And because history is not always an exact science, it rarely reveals the true chronicle of those who have been conquered. The history of Africa, a grand example, is largely told in the archives of European folklore. We see that, right? And not by who they say are Africans. When referring to Africa or Africans, it is customary during the trumpet age of the European to first remove God away from the African subject by renaming the said life according to the delights of their victorious vision. This is what they did. They removed God out and the spirit man out, and then say we talking about some monkeys, for example, right? It says, but Africa is not the original name for the world's inhabited continent, nor did the indigenous inhabitants call themselves Africans. Do not be deceived by this name Africa. Now, a lot of people that get offended and they love, this word Africa, they'll think one is on attack, just like when the prophets say black according to science mean deaf. You see, it says modern Africa got its name from Aemilianus Africanus Numantius. It says 185, it says 129 BC. Descendant of Roman nobles after conquering Carthage, 146 BC. The true name, Tunis, north of Mexum, it says is founded by the Moors. Now we actually have a map on a Mexum, but we won't go into that now. What we will say is, You know, a Mexim being the land of the gods, you know, is directly beneath that same demonstration what we was talking about earlier when we talked about the Big Dipper and the Little Dipper. These are called the epaulets of heaven, you know, which we call Northwest Africa and Northeast Africa. They are both under the pole star. But that's a whole nother message. That's why our ancestors knew how to navigate themselves by the North Star and find their way home. This was something that we was able to do. You hear people talking about the North Gate, the North Star, and all this here, but they don't really be knowing what they be talking about. They want to make this something that got to do with going up in the European court somewhere. But anyway, it says a Mexim is the first true and divine name of the continental land masses and waterways the world now calls Africa. It says the name of Mexim means heaven or land of the holy people, a home of gods. Africa is what a Mexim appears to be once the true and divine God has been removed from its history. See, a lot of people don't know when you deal with the Northeast and Northwest portions of Africa under the Big Dipper and Little Dipper, you see, which is really the scimitar that's rotating around the pole star, which is really our Moorish flag. But that's a whole nother teaching. That's dealing with the macrocosm, what I'm talking about now. As it is above, so it is below. You see? So when we deal with this special drawing, you know, we have what we call the Aksumite Empire, which was Northeast Africa. And then you have what you call the Axum Empire, which was Northwest Africa. But they both had in common, at the root was A, X, and M, the Axum. You see? Which is also going into dealing with being that which is revolving around the axis. You see? But that's a whole nother measure. That's a whole nother measure right there, family. So in all actuality, the demarcation line and all that come about. And this is really a line that shows you where the Moorish gods, you know, pretty much came into the manifest at. And they migrated from Canaan land all the way into North East Africa, and from Northeast Africa into Northwest Africa, and then they went all the way back over into Northeast Africa again. You see? That's a powerful demonstration. That's a cycle, or what we call a circle. So anyway, it says, without God, it says, who would know true history reveals a history so ancient, it predates the great earthquake. When a Mexim included the entire continental island landmass of Laurasia, Lemuria, or land of Mu, it says, after the fall of man into human knowledge, right? Human knowledge, symbolized by the infamous Garden of Eden, Canaan. It says, where Adam, Issa, and his wife Isha, and Eve, it says, before they became mothers and fathers of the human or carnal family, when they fell from their Sahasrara, crown, chakra, through their Muladhara, bottom chakra, it says, they were cast out from this part of Laurasia into the world, which became known as Asia. The inhabitants of Asia were called Asiatics, meaning earthbound. It says, still, let me scroll this up a little bit. It says the first landmass, Pangea, was surrounded, and Pangea is basically the Hyperborea. You know, that's what we were talking about, the Hyperborean people, you know, as they existed before the continental drift and so forth and so on. It says, with surrounding waters, it says, with the divine name of a Mexim, it says, the land men call Earth to this day. It should also be noted, a Mexim is the continental land areas and antediluvian era of Noble Drew Ali referred to when he officially identified the Moorish Americans are descendants of the ancient Mulamarians, Moabites, whom later inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. The word ancient refers to the earliest beginning or oldest. Drew Ali used the word ancient to date back to the Atlanteans period, when the gods first began to take on the slower garbs of human flesh and became the mothers and fathers of human family, Asiatics, earthbounders, and gods, Muslims. So that's powerful. That's why we always say what a Muslim within us is more ancient, than the Asiatic. So when you talk about Asiatics and Muslims, you have to know the distinction between the two. The Muslim has always been there from the very conception of creation. The Asiatic came into manifest when the physical became manifest. As the chairman said, when we took on slower garbs. Go back and read on Ish and Isha and see how much of this stuff corresponds with the same information that we have given. It don't get no plainer than this. See, that's what we can do. We don't just get up here and tell you about a thing and we can't show it to you. We tell you and we show it to you. So praise be to Allah. If they don't get it after that, it ain't meant to be got. Islam, is there any other more that would like to come forth before we get into our alphabets?
Islam?
Islam, Brother Marvin Edwards Bay.
Well, gratitude. This is Dr. Marvin Edwards Bay. Praise and honors have been given. Man, I'm thinking about Dr. Dendra and Neil Curtis Bay. I was feeling the same way. You know what I mean? you really lifted us up. And I'm just so grateful for being here. And being a part of this. But I also think back that I'm supposed to be here. You know what I mean? It was already. When we talk about the world is waiting for us, my Moorish American government was waiting for us. Each one of us that's here today, and like first thing, I grabbed my Holy Quran questions. The first thing that came to my mind that what do knowledge of history and the reliance upon Allah do for a Moor? The knowledge of history and the reliance upon Allah supply a Moor with strength that he may act in the cause of justice. And this is what we are here for. We are here to bring justice to the world. You know what I mean? And I can't give you enough honors, God, man, for what you do. Cause, man, I was looking at your that you say that potential book or that latent book or however you want to put it. And I say, man, I want one of those. I want one of the first copies of that print. You know what I mean? Because, you make it plain. I mean, you bring us to where we need to be in order that we can be ourselves, because everything else is dumbing us down. And I'm just so grateful for being here. I mean, I could go on, but I just wanted to say gratitude, God, man, for all you do. And I appreciate the upliftment. Gratitude. Islam and peace.
In Islam and peace. And brother, I'm gonna say this too, Brother Marvin Edwards Bay. The same truth that drive us, and it is the knowing on what Prophet Noble Drew Ali has given us, knowing that he wasn't a liar to us, right? It drives me on the mission, to basically show that my prophet was truly a prophet. Everything he said was the truth, because I know it's the truth, and only those who don't embrace it as the truth, dealing with outside of where we at, are those who have lost confidence in their prophet. And so being that I'm so confident in what the prophet said, I know that when I dig for this stuff, I'm going to find it. Ain't no doubt in my mind, because I know he wasn't a liar. You see what I'm saying? Now, somebody that think perhaps he might be a prophet, I think he a prophet, but I really just don't. I don't know. The Arabs say Prophet Muhammad, they said Jesus, but and all this here, people thinking like that, they always look at this stuff as folklore, fairy tale, They'll call it pseudo and everything, even if you put all this in front of them. I mean, look at it. Think about it. You got a people that'll take Levi and everything he said, and he say he got this from the Akashic records. So by default, if they'll take what he said or what the prophet said, the prophet didn't even say that. The prophet said that he got his teaching from the Indians and the Muslims of the East. Now, which one is more concrete? Now, we know we have the ability to get things from the Akashic records, no doubt. But why would they take a European's concept, you know, something that they can't prove, something that he couldn't even prove, Levi, but the prophet telling you, I got this from the Muslims of India. And plain and simple, I divinely prepared it. That show you something is wrong with our people. That means they accept what the European say is law. And if you do that, and you say, okay, well, we're going to use this to try to attack the Moors, then that means that you believe that one is able to receive a revelation from the spiritual. But then in the same token, you say, I don't believe that the God of these texts of the Abrahamic faith is real. So you see how confused people are, right? One minute you can believe the European, either that or mental slavery is on you so bad to where you indirectly praise your slave master and you don't even know you're doing it. And yet you think you're intellectual. You think you're a mastermind.
Islam.
You think you the hottest thing. Goodness gracious. You know it's a word for that right there too, right? It's called sophomania. When somebody think that they are more intelligent than they actually are. Well, we ain't gonna go into that right now. You know, we're gonna answer the question of this brother here, and we're gonna get to our homework. Our brother P&F Publication, it's a powerful question too, brother. He said, peace to you. He says, the Moorish Americans indigenous to America or Africa? We indigenous to the planet, my brother. So that means we indigenous to America and Africa. And in fact, when I gave the history just then on the Mauritanicus Atlanthropus, you know, it actually say that this one was the first to migrate out of Africa. So if he was the first to migrate out of Africa, that means we know that we was the ancient ones. You know, it said it was the first to inhabit the land of England and Spain. So that tell you who the original people were there. You see? That tell you where the original people were there. And so now that we know, it's very important to understand this particular one that we were just speaking about. Because this one is said to be there 700,000 years and also back to 1.2 million years. You know, the presence of this Mauritanicus Atlanthropus that we don't hear a lot of people talk about. You see, yet this has been years that this has been spoken of and mentioned. You know, we just recently have one admit, you know, the presence of the Ibero-Maurusian Jebel Uhu, you know, which the Ibero-Maurusian culture is up around 25,000 years. The Jebel Uhu, oldest man found in Northwest Africa, the oldest humanoid, so to speak, a Homo sapien, you know, 350,000, this is their recent record, was found in the same area in the Rechat structure, a Rechat structure, whichever way you want to say it, where Atlantis was basically set up at. You know, this stuff, we can't make it up. So yeah, we were indigenous to the planet family. So though there were some of our people who were later stolen, kidnapped, and brought over here during slavery, the slavery did exist. My proof of this is meeting the son of the world's greatest treasure hunter. I can't make this stuff up. let me give you this one more key right here. I'm finna show you because I don't want nobody to think we just talking up here now. You know, everything we say, we can back it up. I'm finna show you something right now. And I ain't gonna go all the way into this. I'm just finna show you who I say when I say the son of the world's greatest treasure hunter. His name was Mel Fisher. And they dived off the Key West area. But his son, Kane Fisher, I was able to meet. And I was told by this special one that the man that owned the gold make the rules. Because they were actually targeted by the government. They actually got a movie about them too. It showed where his son, which Kane say they was diving, and he said that the pirates came at him. They was basically under maritime law, so anything they found belonged to them. And Rome said they gonna get out there anyway if we can't get it legally, because they took them to court. They said if they can't get it legally, then we're gonna send them gangsters out there. And that's what they did. They sent them out there. They shot the boat up, and his brother died. They jumped off of the boat. This is real history right here, family. You know what I mean? This is real history. But the key of what I'm talking about this one, dealing with Mel Fisher and Kane Fisher, is that they found the Atocha, they found the Penta, they found the San Margarita. When his father died, it's crazy that I had to come across the paths of this man. We crossed paths. It ain't no strange happenings. He said, when my father died, he was looking for the lost ship of Atlantis on Allah. I wasn't even into the deep history of Atlantis like that. But everywhere that man dropped his anchor, he found bullion, he found gold. So much so they even set Kane up recently in the last couple of years and locked him up, tried to make it look like he was stealing out their own museum. So they had a dark cloud over them since they found all that treasure. But what they found, this man told me, and they got it in their museum. They found shackles and chains, which was evidence of the slave trade. See, it was meant for me to meet this man. You see, evidence of the slave trade. He said they had shackles, or they have shackles right now in that museum that were dealing with the yokes around the neck, the shackles on the leg for adults, all the way down to small children to babies, family. You see? So for those who think it's a game and think that we ain't talking to our family that's in the audience right there that asked the question, but we know a lot of our people, they like to act as if there was no demonstration. But this is the one down here diving right here. I'm gonna show you this, and I'm gonna let you see it, and you do your research on your own, and you'll see that them ones found evidence. And this is in 76, family. You feel me? This is National Geographic. And they probably ain't, it's some reason they ain't letting these YouTube videos play on this platform no more. Seems like they start buffering and getting slow and all type of other foolery. But you get what I'm trying to show you. It's out here. It's way more than this. You talking about the San Margarita? But they found also gold, family. Like, they found gold, and these are actual ships, that was sent out. They left sail from Spain, and other different areas or whatever. But this is one of the documentaries. It got so much up here. It's way more than this one here. They got actual documentary where Kane is out there with his father as a young man. I think he might have been like 16 or 15. diving with his old boy. So that's Mel Fisher right there. Man found all that gold, so to speak, and because he was trying to get me to invest in the gold, that he have, because they have it displayed. See, this is the search for the Atocha. I'm showing you all of this, family, to show you facts and connection. But it ain't strange that, like I say, that one past form, he believed that Atlantis existed. So he was looking for it. You know what I mean? That's what the man told me directly. That's the actual movie of it too. And they actually show everything that I'm talking about. I haven't watched the full movie, but that's the movie right there. That one from down here in Key West, Florida, family. I can't make this stuff up. So let me stop sharing so we can get to our family, get the homework on the manifest. You see? Yes, sir. And yes, sir, the Ibero-Mauritian or the Rachat structure, yes, sir, that is the greatest example. That's definitely the Atlantis that's being referred to. So Islam, brother. So at this time, now that we done fired the neurons of our people up and we done got them to thinking, and the ancestors done spoke and said, get this demonstration out here right now, because that ain't what I intended to do. I'm just moving with spirit, but somebody need to hear it. So we're going to call 4-5 family and see who volunteer and is ready, to show, what it is they had to bring forth. And we just showed you how deep you can go with etymology along line with history and why it's necessary to study the language. So now we're finna get a lesson from our panel. Islam, who is our first volunteer, student adept, to come forth and bring their message to the manifest. Islam?
Islam.
All right, I finna say Morskin must be trying to pull it up over there.
Islam, Dr. Shaheed. Praise Allah. Before we get into the assignment, I just wanted to, first of all, give praises to Allah and honor to our Prophet Noble Drew Ali, honor to our E.A.R.S class, honor to our panel, and to our Moorish kin online. I want to give you a special honor as being host, and of course, honor to Act 1 and our Book of Fire and Book of Ali. I want to give you honor more for bringing forth these grand treasures and measures, because when I speak about, along with the rest of my Moorish kin on the panel, paradigm shifts, and one of the master words that you used was illumination or luminaries, dealing with the light of truth. I give honor to the chairman also because he taught us that, the prophet came to us with the truth. I'm looking at the Grand National Seal and recognizing that everything is connected. But when I went to do my research, I always had as the foundation that this is what the prophet brought. That's my foundation. And when I go to do the research in other books or other history and things of that nature, I'm going with the mindset of bringing additional treasures to the adept degrees of what the prophet has already brought. So I'm looking at how much what came back to me was dealing with how the prophet constantly tells us to study self. And just in these keys being brought forth, it just showed me how much dealing with mental slavery, we have put limitations on ourselves. So if you don't realize that you are spirit and a part of the great God Allah, then the mindset that you can't be any better than a human, or I'm just destined to continue on with my evil ways, that's a self-destructive mindset. So this shows when you go back to the history, and when the prophet brought ancient, and how the chairman broke down when we were gods, a lot of times it takes the repetition, that hammer of repetition, so that the total realization and being able to solve the fix individually is key. So I just want to give you much honor for this degree. When the prophet speaks about tarrying many ages, and I'm glad that you went according to the spirit with this degree. So I just wanted to say that before I brought forth my measure. And the other thing is, in the part 1, do you just want the words that we brought forth, or do you want the actual going into the Hebrew and the Arabic definition of the words we brought forth?
Okay. Let me get this here. Okay, Islam. Yeah, so the first portion, you can just deal with the aspect of showing the connection, between the triunity, and we can get the definitions later. Nothing wrong with, when I say definitions, I'm talking about, the isolated definitions that we would use for our dictionary. But the other portion of it, even if we go into the meaning of the words, there's no harm there. It's mainly just showing the connection, like between the words that you were able to find that was strong, in connection to each other, and so forth and so on. Basically, like I was demonstrating between the Amin, the Amun, and the Aman, in the Arabic, Hebrew, that's the particular portion that we'll deal with, which is the first part. And then the other part, probably be best that instead of us having to go over the definitions, we just have a more sentiment, and then I go through them like I did last week. And I'm putting this stuff, I'm compiling it in our dictionary. You know what I mean? That way, when we give our measure, all is well, and the family can get to their affairs. Because the prophet said, don't burden my morals. Islam.
Islam, gratitude. All right. Well, I'm going to do my presentation at this time. I'm going to present the screen. Gratitude. I'll share the screen rather. Can everybody see my screen?
There we go. Yep.
All right.
There we go.
Gratitude. Okay, looking for strong words of Egyptian origin using knowledge of sound shifting that relates to Hebrew and Arabic words, as I demonstrated in our last E.A.R.S session. First word coming from the Egyptian dictionary was abak, which we see the Egyptian vulture, etc., and other symbols. When I looked at the Hebrew, I was able to do abak minus the H. And then in Arabic, I saw the abak, even though it came under habuk with the Arabic. And also abak in Arabic. And looking at the second word, A-B-U-T, abut, coming from the Egyptian dictionary, page 4, I was able to pull up ab. That's the closest that I saw in the Hebrew language. And also the A-B-U-T. Now that's similar, but it had the T in front. Now, and these, you see, the root is like this one is after the KH, and you see the B is in front of the, I'm looking at B and T, sound shifting. The other word, ATU, from the Egyptian dictionary, going to the Hebrew, the closest that they came was AZZAH that I saw. And in the Arabic, ATA as opposed to ATU. And we know that coming out of Kemet, you can use the AEIOU and Y. So this one, as opposed to ATU, was ATA. as far as the Arabic is concerned. For my fourth word, coming out of the Egyptian dictionary, page 14, Atcha, A-T-C-H-A. And looking at the looking up Atcha in the Hebrew, they have an R in front of the word A-S-H-A as opposed to C-H-A. And they also have R-A-S-H-A and R-E-S-H-A in the Hebrew. And I not only compared the Unicodes, but was the glyphs to also the meanings of the words to try to check as well. And for Atcha, the closest I was able to come in the Arabic was the K-H-A-T-A-R-A, and I'm not sure if that was a strong root using this special word. Then the fifth word was opsit, A-P-S-I-T, coming out of Kemet. As far as Hebrew, I kind of went as far as a definition was concerned and trying to match up the glyphs. But the closest I could come was C-H-A-T-S-E-R and B-A-Y-I-T-H as far as the Hebrew was concerned. And when it came down to apsit, I did a sound shifting between the P and the B, A-B-S-I, which it has the different variations in the Arabic as well. And sixth word, amti, coming out of the Egyptian dictionary. The closest in the Hebrew was Naim, N-A-E-M, where we could see that A and M if you remove the E as far as the primary root is concerned. And in Arabic, I did also see the same word that Kemet used, the A-M-T-I, and some of its variations. And the last word, amen, which you also had that on your slide. So praise the Lord for that blessing. Now, amen, I was also able to pick up in the Hebrew, the same four letters, A-M-E-N, and also A-M-A-N, which we see some replacement of the vowels from the E to the A. So that's very strong root. And in Arabic, amen, closest I came to that was the A-M-N, which didn't have the vowels between the M and the N. And that's my measure on the first part. Islam.
There we go. Islam. Gratitude, Grand National Secretary of the State. Powerful demonstration. And you know I'll definitely be going in the measure to do a deep dive, you know, like I did in the last class that we had, but you did a grand job. You seen the connections between a lot of things, and you getting your eyes getting more used to going through the dictionaries. And all of this is doing is just sharpening one. So by the time you go to going through certain things, you're going to be able to pick up on certain things instantly. So we're not immersing ourselves in the culture or the language by communicating with the people, but we are immersing ourselves in the language and the culture by dealing with going into the literature itself. And so all this is doing is impressing these things upon our consciousness and our memory. You know, they in there, you know, and they will come forth, you know, in due time. So yeah, that's a powerful measure, Grand National Secretary of the State. Very powerful. That's exactly what we were talking about. That's what we were looking for. You know, and like I said, what we would do, we'll start having our family just send in, you know, the other works and we'll vet those things like we did last time with the definition you gave and add them on into our demonstration. And we get to a certain point, we're going to come forth and review what it is that we have for the A section, because when people start dictionaries, some people may start their sections with 20, 30 words, but we're going to get to a certain point and then we'll move on to the B, because we're going in the abjad order when we do what we do. And so, it's going to be a powerful draw, and then we'll be able to utilize these actual measures, as we come forth, when we put forth, our chapters, when we put forth other Moorish literatures, we will be able to deal with the sowing of this wisdom together, when it comes to expression it. So Islam, like our chairman called it, the comedian transliteration. That's what we demonstrate. Islam. All right. What about our other Moorish kin? We know Sister Curta Bay just came back. I know Brother Marvin that was maybe doing a little work on something, trying to pull it together. Is there anything you'd like to bring forth, brother?
Islam, God, man. Yes, I did. I am working on it, but like you say, I just got back in. But I got my words that I'm working on, and I'm utilizing the Vargas dictionary, and I also betting my word in the actual dictionary, the Arabic dictionary that we got physically. And but I just ran. I just didn't have enough time to just put anything together. But I got it all jammed up on different pieces of paper and stuff. I just need some and extension to put everything together. So gratitude. I'm back home now, fired up, ready to go, and looking forward to completing my assignment. Islam.
In Islamism, gratitude. We give honors to you, goddess and queen, for all that you do. Praise be to Allah, Islamism without the schism. And it's a grand draw in Moorish kin. Y'all see me in my ghost mode over here today. And it's doing this because I got on green. The green actually is supposed to be like a green background, and it reflects off of that. So when you put the green on, it make you a ghost. Islam, Moorish kin. Praise be to Allah. So gratitude, Sister Curta Bay, for all that you do and all that you will do. Praise be to Allah. Islamism without the schism. Okay, Brother Marvin Evans Bay, what have you to say?
Islam family. Well, yeah, I mean, I didn't go out of town or nothing like that, but I was, when I go into these dictionaries and I go into the words, you know what I mean? I see, because like even in that Buzz's dictionary, you see all of the words, and I see the root of words that they use, and so like I said, I didn't bring anything concrete that you can visually see, but you know what I mean. I am focusing on like the different roots and the different words, and I'm sure I will compile something that I could present to the class, because and also I was I was speaking to you earlier, listening to Mustafa Gadala, in the ancient Egyptian divinities, and how the different divinities, which is the divinities, the names of them are actually epitaphs, or how you want to call it. It's just a description. It's not really the name themselves, and so that's bringing about some sound shifting in my head, so to speak. You know what I mean? As to going into
the different ones, and like the goddess Dendra spoke on, you know, I mean, I definitely need more time to get it together, because then your mind do kind of like expand over the whole situation, and I do intend to narrow it down, and I was hoping that Dr. Hatshepsut, you know, will step forward first, because she's you know, well advanced, you know, not making any excuses, but yeah. So at this point, yeah, I'm just really formulating different, you know, because when I look at the words, and if it doesn't have a meaning that's, to me, that's, you know, aside from say everyday meaning, I kind of like, you know, go past that one. So I'm trying to get words that, you know, have say deeper meanings than, you know, than what the Europeans is putting out. You know, I mean, just say everyday conversation, so to speak. But I know all of that is needed as well, you know. But that's just where my thought processes are at this time. And I just say, like, more will be, there's more to come. Islam.
Yes, sir. Gratitude. Hold up. Yeah, gratitude, Brother Marvin Evans Bay. We give honors to you for all the work you do. I hope our brother Bati Bay all right. I know the link went out to his email, so we look forward to seeing our brother in due time. You know, and mashallah, all is well. And also, Moors, we had a measure in relation to dealing with our metals. We just want to give you an update on that. You know, these ones told me that the name bar won't come till after Christmas. I ordered this demonstration way in November. You know, so they talking about a bike order. Man, y'all better get these things, because I got them right here next to me laid out. I really want to get these things out to our Moorish kin. You know, well, mashallah, they'll come with other blessings. So, you know, we want to get those to the family, so our Moorish kin can have those on the manifest. You know, these Roman holidays always holding somebody up. You know, we don't care nothing about that Muslim working, you know, through, you know, and on the day of, you know. So that don't apply to us. But yeah, we got a lot of grand drawings, Moorish kin, that we had to bring on the manifest. And this has definitely been a grand class. You know, it only increases us in our understanding, our comprehension of the language. Again, we also have our language that comes forth from what we call the Iberian Egyptian. We want to thank our brother Mustafa Gadala, you know, for bringing that measure forth also in ancient Egyptian writing modes, because all of this is basically tracing our history back to the greatest and the best of us. You know, Kemet is the closest thing to us in this era and time. So we have brought forth a reconstruction of the language. We have the Abjad. We know the order that it came in. We know the difference between what we call Ptolemaic hieroglyphs and really Egyptian hieroglyphics. You know, one hasn't been deciphered, and the other was basically reverse engineered and claimed to have been deciphered. You know, like for example, you looking right now, you see these expressions on the obelisk. In ancient Kemet, mostly, like I said, these things were used for decoration. You know, they were used for the look, so to speak, to dress things up. And some of the things had metaphysical meaning behind them, the events that were being recorded or engraved or impressed in the stone, so to speak. But then here you have somebody come along and remix or remix, you know, the actual symbols and make them into an alphabet based on what they like to call a term Greek language, you're dealing with a whole nother system there. You see? And so that's why people are still being took off account and thinking that they actually dealing with Egyptian hieroglyphics. No, you're dealing with Ptolemaic hieroglyphs. The signs originated by the ancient Comedians, but the methodology and the decipherment came from another people. You see? And they were dependent on Ptolemaic monuments. And we showed you in a lot of our different classes and sessions, how they did this. So we don't have to really go back into that now. But we know how they created it and how easy it is to create an alphabet if we wanted to do so pictorially. We had our family do that as an example. So our people just got to wake up, come up out of this mental slavery, embrace the reality of being themselves and tell the truth. Teach the truth to your people, But you must first have the truth before you teach the truth. You can't give what you don't have. And it's in the possession of a thing and not the use of a thing, that allow one to really bear witness to its potencies. You see? So it's a grand drawing. I want to give honors to all of those who have shown up that are out there in our audiences. Again, our brother Asim Majetti, Rayshon Irvin, Avenge the Ancestors, PNF Publications, and all of those who show up and support what it is that we're bringing on the manifest. The best is always yet to come, family. So make these videos go viral. Get people to like, share, and subscribe to the channel so that we can continue to bring these truths to the people, because there's nobody else out there that's giving our people the whole truth and nothing but the truth. So help them God. And the thing is about it, everybody is arguing based upon a narrative that they're trying to push, as opposed to putting this information out here and showing our people, how this stuff is real, and so that's the draw. We got to get our people out of fairy tale land and bring them into the reality and the totality of the truth. So it's a grand drawing. Islamism, we could say a whole lot more, but there's not much to be said based upon everything it is that has been brought forth. We're going to let our family tap into this information and do your research a little bit on everything it is that we said. And I guarantee you it come back, just as it was supposed to come back. And one love to you as well, brother. Avenge the Ancestors. Anytime we come up here with content, you can believe our content going to have some weight to it. And we use the hammer of repetition, because even though our people say that they have it or they done heard it before, we find out upon investigation that most of our people are still wanting for the information. And then it's the ego that don't want to allow one to get into a state where they really want to learn. You see, study. They'd rather just take what somebody told them. I really, that thing really, puzzled me though about that Levi demonstration. Not the aspect of the accusation of them trying to say the prophet got what he got from Levi and all this foolery, but just from the fact that they'll believe that his stuff come from the Akashic records, but they won't believe Prophet Noble Ali when he said, I got this from the Muslims of India. He didn't tell you he got it from the Akashic record. He didn't say, I got this from the Book of Allah's Registry of Remembrance. You know what I mean? So, those are things to pay attention to, family. We got to free our people from this mental slavery, and we got to teach our people to love instead of hate. So that being said, we're going to let our family get back to their affairs. We'll close it a bit earlier today, but we want to hear from, our family, before we close this demonstration down. Islam. All right. Grand National Secretary of State. Is there anything else you would like to bring forth, Goddess and Queen, while we on our way up?
Islam, just praises and honor we're due, and gratitude to you, to our panel, and also to all our Moorish kin online. Love you all. Peace and love. Grand class.
In Islam, peace and love. We love you in grand measure. All right. Brother Marvin Edward Bay, Sister Diane Carter.
Yeah, I go gratitude, yes. Well, yeah, Dr. Edward Bay, praise and honor have been given. I'd just like to say that, you know, we know that our people are searching for the truth. They're searching for some answers. And a lot of them have come up on some, you know. But I just want to say, if you're not in this Moorish American government, it's no accident. You know, it's not a haphazard situation. This is a divine situation, this Moorish American government. And I know we don't want to try to force feed our people force anything on anyone. But I just want to say that from my perspective, that regardless of what one has acquired, unless you're here in this Moorish American government putting forth it and bringing it forth for the upliftment of this government, everything else is just an illusion. And I don't want to sound harsh or whatever, but it's just the truth. I mean, as the goddess Dr. Diane Carter Bay was saying about our young people, yes, our young people yes, they got the mind. You know what I mean? They got all of that. But until they recognize that this Moorish American government, it'll be just like it has always been. You know what I mean? And so that's all I got to say. Gratitude for allowing me to speak. Islam and peace.
Yes, sir. And gratitude for the measure, brother. You know, and you said it. Think about it now. Here we have in this new era in time, Brother Marvin Edwards Bay, our people demonstrating self-determination, building our own government, not trying to vote our way to freedom, but actually building government. And outside of, you know, dealing with the building of government, you know, we also have our people getting the best of the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding that can be given to them. You know, coming straight from our ancestors. You mean to tell me that you don't want that? As much as our people say they want the truth. You see? So, yeah, you said it, brother. You said it. You know, and yes, sir. Praise be to Allah. Islamism without the schism.
Islam,
Sister Curtis Bay.
Islam, Dr. Dendra and Nia Curtis Bay. Yes, and I just would like to add, and I know that we are live, and I want to speak to my family that's out there in the audience, because, and I encourage you to go back and listen to this recording, because we're gonna be sharing it. I try to share it when I get on my little phone and stuff. I'll be planning and sharing. I'm encourage you, family, to go back and listen to what was brought forth this morning, because what was brought forth this morning came from the highest plane of spirit life. It came from the heart of the great God Allah. And yes, you might not. We might have said things that you weren't used to or may not have heard before. And like the God man said, you know, ain't nobody trying to beat you up. And I just want to share this with you too, family. When I first found out about the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, I was skeptical about him. I didn't, because all I knew was Jesus. And I know some of you might be skeptical about our prophet, but trust me, our prophet Noble Drew Ali is real. And the things that you are seeing happening now is him causing it. The information that our National Assistant Grand Sheik come across, That wasn't no coincidence. It's like the prophet is opening up. We who have a, without a shadow of a doubt. See, you cannot get me to doubt my prophet. I don't care what you do. You can destroy this body. You can't get me to deny who Prophet Noble Drew Ali was, who he was, who he is, and who he is now, and what he's doing right now. But like I say, I had to get when I first heard about him, I didn't believe in him. I didn't. I say now because I had never heard about our holy prophet Noble Drew Ali. But family, I encourage you, stay with us. Listen to these teachings, because the more you listen, the more clearer it'll become to you. And trust me, like I say, our prophet Noble Drew Ali is real. And I know we saying things that you may not have heard before, but the information is right there before you. And listen to it, and keep coming to these classes. And like the God man say, go to www.morishamericangovernment.land and come on in this government and get these teachings, because we are bringing you something that's making it ain't gonna set you free. It's making you free. This information here is making us free. We showing you the truth. You've been lied to all your life. You've been lied to. We bringing you the truth. So I encourage you, family. We love you. We're not trying to force anything on you or nothing like that. So just stay with us, family. Stay with us. Islam. Gratitude for letting me share. Peace and love.
And
Islam.
Islam. Hold up. Islam. Hold up. This little thing be taking so long. There we go. Islam, family. Islam. All right. So gratitude, Brother Marvin Everbay. You had something you was trying to say?
I was gonna say I can't hear you.
Okay, yeah, Islam. Yeah, I was trying to, this thing do so it's so slow, in the way that it moved. But praise be to Allah, we was able to get it up out of there. So Islamism without the schism. And we definitely love your family. It's always a powerful measure to bring something on the manifest, and that our people can draw from, that they can grow from. So praise be to Allah. And remember, Moors, it's all about the research and the study to our family that's out there listening to us. We see the brother Derek Witherspoon, and that he just posted in our thing, right? And he said, you making Unc and Reggie mad at commission. Adept. Yeah, we made a whole lot of people mad, and we accept that right there. But one thing about what I realized, when our people become reactionary, that just let me know that they heard it. They heard the truth. And that's all we do. We bring the truth to the manifest, and we're gonna bring the hard facts. One thing you can always trust about us, family, is we will never bring something to you, and not be able to demonstrate, the source, basically show you this demonstration. We're gonna show and prove, whatever it is we say. So a lot of our family are under the influence of the Eurocentric philosophy, Eurocentric ideology, and that when people realize this about Brother Commission, as they like to call me, when they realize that I'm not attacking our people, I'm attacking that Eurocentric thought pattern. That's what I'm waging war with. We ain't talking about the person. It ain't the person. It's like my auntie and them used to say, and you really can't put hatred, in a category of justification or good or nothing like that. But they used to make this statement for a reason. When they see one acting up, they never say, I hate you, you little knucklehead. They would say, I hate your ways. You know, that's what I would hear my auntie say to my cousin. You know, I hate your ways, girl. You know, she never said I hate you. And so what it is, you know, we don't even use the term I hate the ways. We are saying that we are waging war against that mindset, because that mindset is what is really the slave holder. You know, that mindset is really the slave catcher, slave maker, slave breaker. You see? So we waging war against a slave maker, slave breaker, slave catcher, slave holder that is unseen with the physical eye, but very manifest based upon the way our people express themselves. So it's that thought pattern that we're going after. And it's not a thought pattern where we go after, you know, just, you know, individuals that call themselves Hebrew Israelites or something like that, just for the sake of Hebrew. No, we telling our Hebrew family that they have to do research and bring measures on the manifest, you know, that are indicative, so to speak, of proving what it is they bring forth according to them, and not what the European translated. So they're going to have to translate their own books at some time. We're going to demonstrate the task in doing what we do, because that's what we here to do. We here to clean up all the debris. But yet and still, it's the same thing when we do with our brothers who say that they're Muslims. See, we don't discriminate. We speak the truth, even if it's against the self. So those who are dealing with al-Islam from an Arab standpoint, you know, we ain't going at ones. We going at that mentality. You see, we going at the source and where it come from. You see, and the same thing when we deal with Western Freemasonry and so forth and so on. That's why we call it Western Freemasonry. You see, you from the East, ain't you, originally? So, you know, you should have an Eastern mind. The body came to the West because you were brought here in the bondage. You know, so from that standpoint, you know, we are not here to argue over things and defend things. The European, themselves, they won't even defend it. But you see our people going back and forth in what they call debates. And our people are harming those more that don't have knowledge, because here they looking at you, even though you might be in the right position, but you going back and forth with a fool. So they go to looking like, well, you know, how we gonna get some insight out of this demonstration when they acting like somebody out the corner? And now you may be doing the right thing, but just by one person acting like a fool, cussing and carrying on, you know, and all that type of stuff that them brothers like to do, you know, even though you got good intent, it pretty much dampens, so to speak, your work that you try to bring forth. And so that's why I say, if one ain't really willing to dialogue and sit down and have a conversation where in the end we can say, all right, this is the conclusion we came to. You know, ain't no need in talking. Especially when I done explain the same thing over and over again. That's another thing. People go through these various conversations. These people are asking me the same questions over and over and over and over again. That's insanity. You know, because they keep knocking their head against the brick wall of me telling them the same thing again. Go look at my history and my track record and look at how many times I done had to explain to these people just the definition of the word more. And many of them are so demarcated in their thought pattern. I have so much hatred in them. They don't want to accept it, even though it's written in the books. So why would I continue to go back and forth with that? That's why you don't see me out there. Now, as far as our brother Sarnetta, we give honors to Sarnetta because he always allowed me to bring forth my information. He don't have control over how the audience, you know, choose to respond. You know, so we ain't worrying about the public because we know that they forever ungrateful. You know, and 1 minute they love you, 1 minute they hate you. You know, so when it comes to that aspect, there are some people though that have begun to respond positively to what it is we brought. You know, and I have been successful. The only more that has been able to go on that platform despite the opposition, and now people have a better respect for Prophet Noble Drew Ali. They have a better understanding, even if they don't accept it. You see, that's what my duty is. My duty as a swift angel is to make it rain, not stand around and watch who get wet and who don't get wet. There is no competition, that I seek to demonstrate between me and anybody else outside of the self, because that would mean I really have to have a complex and think that I'm inferior, in some type of way to somebody. And what I'm saying, I'm not sure in what I stand on. So the only reason a lot of those brothers are upset and in their feelings, are mad, is because of the fact that I have shaken their foundation with the truth. Wasn't intentionally trying to do that. And so what I bring to the manifest, it makes them hard to push their narrative. So yeah, they want me out the way. They want me to be quiet. Saul reached out to me not long ago, want me to come back on there, but I've been doing a lot of working, and I go on there and demonstrate. But if I go back on there and demonstrate, as a guest, I'm gonna be demonstrating as a guest. I ain't finna get on there debating and going back and forth, because even when we set up the measures to do dialogues, all of them ran. Every last one of them that channel, they like to come behind a good measure and then taint it or dilute it with NBC isms. You see, that's all they do. But when you want to have a discussion with the brother, that's what Sarnetta asked them. Oh no, we don't want to talk to that brother. So what y'all coming up in here for then? See, that's agent provocateur activity. I'm gonna go up there and make a nuisance on the post because I don't want to see this information unite the people. That's basically what they're saying indirectly. So we love them brothers, like we love everybody else, that we speaking to. So remember, when you hear me speaking, even if you hear me get animated, I'm never going into a level to where I'm going at the individual. I'm going at that Eurocentric thought pattern. That's what I'm utilizing my scimitar to cut away. I'm a doctor of divinity. So I be doing surgery. I'm surgical with that scimitar. And so if I get into some scimitar talk, then what the demonstration is, boys. So we give honors to your brother Derek Witherspoon for being out there watching and supporting, and brother, the best is yet to come, like I said earlier. And we just want to encourage our family to keep it on high and do everything it is that you can to unite your people. And remember, sophomania. Look that word up when you get a chance. Our sophomaniac is someone that is deluded with the thought of having superior intelligence. And that's what happens most of the time when we deal with our family. They believe that their intelligence is superior to Brother Commission Adept. They laugh. They think it's funny when I'm giving the same history right here. But the joke is on those who don't want to be themselves. But yet at the same token, they stand in defense of the same people that put them in bondage in the first place. Claiming to be apes, claiming to be monkeys, and all this other stuff. You can believe that, but you can't believe Prophet Noble Drew Ali was a prophet. Oh, man. We're going to close on that note right there, family. But we love your family. Keep the love out front. And that's what it is. We're going to keep teaching our people this truth. Because if we don't do it, who going to do it? Peace and love, family. All right, Sister Curta Bay.
Islam, Islam, Islam. We love you, family. Islam. January 15, 1929. A warning from the prophet to be read at every meeting. I hereby inform all citizens that they must end all radical, agitating speeches while at work, in their homes or on the streets. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards at Europeans. It causes confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be of severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any citizen or group of citizens who hold malicious feelings toward the government or the prophet violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the law as laid down to them by their prophet. If they lose confidence in their prophet, they should turn in their card and button, cease wearing their turban and fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. This is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet Noble Jew Ali. And if the prophet is not right, the government is not right. The prophet, therefore, is sending out the divine plea to all Moorish Americans that they do their part in protecting their prophet and the government. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways by the order of Prophet Noble Jew Ali. A holy covenant of the Asiatic nations. Ye are the children of one father, provided for by his care, and the breast of one mother have given you suck. Let the bonds of affection, therefore, unite thee with thy brothers, that peace and happiness may dwell in thy father's house. And when ye separate in the world, remember the relation that bindeth you to love and unity, and prefer not a stranger before thy own blood. If thy brother is in adversity, assist him. If thy sister is in trouble, forsake her not. So shall the fortunes of thy father contribute to the support of his whole race, and his care be continued to you all in your love to each other. Islam, Islam, Islam. This meeting is officially adjourned according to Act 2. Go in peace, Moors. Islam, Islam.
Grand class.
Grand class. Islam.
Very powerful.
Powerful
Yes,
class. Yeah, share this
Islam.
information. Share this information.
That's right.
Praise
Islam.
be to Allah. We
Yes,
love you,
sir.
Moors.
Love you, family.
Love you.
All right. Can't wait to see our family in Sunday school. Islamism.
Islamism without the schism.
That's right.
All right.
Peace and
now.
love.
Peace and love.
Love
Peace and
to the
love.
multitudes. Islam.